What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Outside the Clutch. We're here with Jared Phaup of Tamer Reptiles.
Yes, sir.
All right,
You got
Jared,
it.
tell us a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
what made you who you are today.
Oh, that's a great first question to start off with. Um, well, as far as snakes go, I've been doing this for about 10, 11 years now, and I'm a veterinary technician by trade. So I'm surrounded
awesome.
by animals at the house. I'm surrounded by animals at work, and a friend of mine, actually about 10 years ago, he was a coworker, and he said, "Hey, you and I are the only ones really doing the exotics at work. How about we do something together?" And he found some ball pythons, and I got one, he got one. We did them, we bred them, and it was a blast. It was the coolest thing ever. And he kind of lost track with it. He kind of just did it one time, like, okay, not really my thing. I loved it, took off, and I've been doing it for a decade.
Heck
And
yeah.
and now he's doing something. He's in IT, doing something completely different, and I do this full time. I do it. I'm still at the vet full time, so I have two full time jobs, and we have about 300 snakes now. We've had up to about 500, so it's full time gig, but I love it. We do all the shows.
Very nice.
Yeah, we just have a blast. Pretty much, yeah.
So what made you go into ball pythons of all species?
Yeah, so I grew up in New Orleans. I grew up catching everything you could possibly catch. The one thing Mom said you can't have at the house is a snake. And so I had everything: turtles, salamanders, all this stuff. And then fast forward with the snake thing, when my buddy got into it with me and invited me to get into it, I just fell in love with it. Like, you can put them together, get all this cool stuff. They're great temperament. They're good with kids. Just everything about it was just like, this is a great animal to have, and I never experienced it. And then that blew up, and I've had all these different snakes, but growing up, I couldn't do anything with snakes. So it's one of those things. It just, Mom said no, and all right, Mom, now I got a house full of snakes. So
What's she think now that
So-
it's kind of consumed the
Yeah.
last decade of your
Yeah.
life?
ironically, they actually bought some snakes and invested into the business, and I actually breed.
That's
some,
awesome.
Yeah, they actually went from no snakes at all to now they actually have a few snakes, and I breed it for them, and yeah, they're into it.
That's awesome.
I never thought it would go that way, but here we are.
What was the first morph that really caught your eye and was like, this
Yeah.
is what really makes me
Yeah.
want to do this?
So where I'm from, every snake is brown, black, like just very naturally colored. When I saw pastel, it blew my mind. I'm like, you can get yellow in a snake like that, and I can purchase it. This is crazy. And then I saw the bumblebee, and I'm like, okay, I'm breeding snakes. This is awesome. So it was the yellow. It was the yellow abnormal color for me, growing up in Louisiana, that it was nothing like it. I thought it was amazing. And now I really like the pied stuff. So the white, the yellow, stuff like that. At least a third of my collection is pieds. So I really like the white. I really like the standout bright. But I would say overall, our collection is probably a very mixed bag, very mixed variety. I like so many different things. It's hard to just get one thing. So
Now, do you strictly just work ball pythons, or do you work any other species?
we have a little bit of Central American boas going on. I got a little bit of Colombian boas. I've had a few carpets. I've had a few sand boas, but I've dabbled in it. But the ball python is just the community, the networking, the family of people that I've got in touch with because of ball pythons is unlike any other. So I will stay mostly with ball pythons. We actually used to do crested geckos, bearded dragons.
So I was going to ask
Yes.
that. I was
Yeah.
literally going to ask that. Where'd the name originate from?
Right. So, and what's funny is a guy yesterday he came up to me so happy when he saw my name, thinking that I would have dragons, and I disappointed him because I only have ball pythons. But actually, before I even had bearded dragons, my brother and I were like, we just need a cool name that we like, that just is edgy, and it doesn't limit us to a certain species if we want to get into other stuff. And we just kind of shot names around, ended up with Dragon Tamer, because we really had a passion for helping people overcome fear of snakes and fear of reptiles and stuff. So the whole Dragon Tamer is kind of like a conquering your fear, not being limited by a stigma, and then reptiles being open to not limiting to one species. So Dragon Tamer Reptiles stuck. We've had it for a decade, and I'm sorry, everyone. I don't sell bearded dragons, but maybe I'll get into it to appease everybody again. But yeah, it's great.
What's one of the things, because you have a decade of experience now,
Yeah.
so what's one of the things that you kind of had to work yourself through? Like, we all have that hurdle, right, when we first are starting out. We don't quite comprehend exactly how to do.
Right.
And then we find our way through. So what was that defining moment for you?
So I think because I've always had animals, and then being with a medical background, the actual part of breeding, killing follicles, all that stuff, that never was an issue. After one season of figuring it out, I would have it. For me, it was the social aspect, the networking with people. How do you sell your brand? How do you make a brand? How do you, okay, you want to enjoy this hobby, but a hobby also needs to pay. And then rodents, and there's all these different elements. For me, it was just how do you run a business? How do you network and connect with people? That side of it, to me, was the side that I had no experience in, and I had to learn. Luckily, the vet side, I'm with every animal that comes in has a person. So if you see 1,000 animals, you see 1,000 people. So that industry has helped me communicate and get better with people. And
were
that
you kind of like antisocial growing up?
Yeah, I'm more of like stay to myself, do my own thing. I'm into animals while everyone else is playing football, like very much like that. Kind of just me and my brother and my friend were kind of just our little group. But so the socialization for me kind of had to grow. This has been such a blessing in helping that, and then my career has also been a blessing in helping that. And they've actually gone together really well. And I've been able to help people with medical advice with the reptiles too. So it's all. I never thought any of this would happen, but it's all kind of really come together and made it very unique, but kind of connected well. So it's been such a cool experience. So
like it's almost like a therapy in all levels for you.
It's the veterinary industry is very hard industry, and then I get to come home and it's just me and all the animals, and so that has been therapy in of itself. The other part of it is just being kind of in my own little world. The friends that I now have, my best friend's Ryan Thomas, my partner.
No freaking way.
Oh yeah.
I just.
Oh yeah. He's the best guy on the entire planet. Love him to death. He's my best buddy. Everybody that's in my life now is almost a direct relation to snakes, and so it's one of these things. If I would have never gotten into this, the family that I have now, it wouldn't even be a thing. I have no idea where my life would even be. So animals, this hobby, it's changed my life for sure. It's absolutely amazing.
So when you first started and you saw that pastel and that bumblebee, and then you saw these couple other more start trickling in, did you ever think that the industry would turn into what you know it for now?
And I never thought that I would be that part of it. So I thought I'm just going to dabble with it like I dabbled with all the other animals growing up. And then it turned into it's hard to even pinpoint where it started. It's a roller coaster. It just rocketed up. And even now, the hobby's changed so much from a decade ago, from 2012. And it's amazing who's in it, and just to see kind of how it's all evolved. It's been great. Yeah.
What's one of the things that you would like to put out to maybe the new people or the people that are just really setting their feet into the industry right now?
So I would say patience and perseverance, because you're going to hit all these obstacles. I mean, if it's an obstacle to face, I've faced it. And in a decade, you're going to face every single obstacle. And so many people get discouraged, and you feel like you're failing, and you're not. There's so many different elements to it. So just keep going. As long as the passion for the animals are there, you're going to want to do better and keep having a solid footing. And patience, because you're dealing with animals. Nothing's going to be overnight. Everything's over time. And I'm still learning. I mean, I'm going on year 11, and there's still all these elements. I mean, even in your podcast last week, you were talking about the ultrasound. I still don't have an ultrasound. I do what I do, and I don't know the ultrasounding side of it that I plan to get into. So that's a whole element that I still need to learn. It's so many aspects. People just think that they're snakes, and they end right there with it, but it's so much more. Yeah. So just keep going, persevere, and be patient, I would say.
Everyone has that triumph, right? So with thought a little bit through the negative. Now we're going to the triumph, right?
Okay.
I'm never going to end it on a negative.
Okay.
What was that defining moment for you? Like that triumph that made you see, hey, I could really do this?
That's a great question. I think it was probably a couple years into it when I realized that my buddy is now out of it. I'm going further into it. Hey, we can make this into something. And we had the best year that we ever had at that moment. Like, everything worked. You had sales. You had everything you paired almost went. Clutches are good. There's all these things happening. And you're realizing, hey, you don't really know what you want to do. And then this is just presenting itself. That season, I want to say it was like 2014 or 15. Just the season presenting itself how it did to me was just like, you can do this. Like, this is something you are really good at.
Starts and it starts rolling down.
And like I said, it was 2012 to then, so it took several years before it blossomed into it. But then from then, I haven't looked back. Like it's yeah. So it was just that defining year. I would say the culmination of everything of just. This is like, we could do what these other guys are doing. The guys that we buy from, like, we could do this. Like, this is awesome. Yeah. So I would say something like that. Yeah.
Sure. So what are some of the projects that have you really excited for this year?
So, yeah, like I said earlier, pieds just always get me excited. So I would say we're at a point where we have, a third of our collection is pieds. That element is trying to figure out, now that you have this great base, where do you go with it from there? So that is kind of a thing currently we're trying to figure out. You have all these pieces to play with. What's going to be a new addition that fits in, that doesn't contradict things? So I would say the pied game, kind of where we're going. The industry is going full-blown recessive. So we really like genetic striped clown projects. We are trying.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, love that reaction. Never thought that reaction would be that way genetically, but we're trying to go that way with it too. We hatched a lot of cypress stuff this year, and every year we like to do like kind of a new, hey, like let's do this new gene, let's do something new. Cypress blew us away this year. We had the most coolest kind of hatches with cypress stuff. So I would say we're kind of gonna keep going in cypress direction. Definitely pied. Clown has been that. I don't know what the word or the term of it for clown is that the thing you keep chasing that you never quite get.
That heartache.
Clown is that for us. Like,
that's how pied is for me.
Okay, like we have animals for it. We have everything you need, but like the outcome of it just never has really been like, oh, that's our clown season. So that we're still trying to kind of get the train rolling on the clown stuff. So I would say, and then the last one would be Desert Ghost. I love everything that it touches. It's gorgeous, and I've just got a late start on it. So I would say Desert Ghost, clown, pied, and then some pattern stuff like cypress. Those would be kind of some main interest of us going forward. So, yeah.
I like it. What's one morph that you haven't really put your feet in yet that is just really piquing your interest?
So. That's tough because it's well
You could talk about.
Okay, so Stranger. I'm sure you get that a lot. Stranger is very sought after now. But I would also even say Desert Ghost. Like, I've been to the limit of a male producing hets. I'm not at the point of even producing visuals. So I would even say Desert Ghost is kind of like that thing that I've just started in it, but I want to just start making it go. And then clown is also even to say that we've produced a few, but I think I've only produced 6-7 clowns over the course of these years. So clown and Desert Ghost and Stranger will probably be like a top 3 of really just want to keep hitting it, just try to keep getting more into it. So, yeah.
So Jared, if they want to reach out to you, they want to know more about you, where do they find you?
So, I'm old school and I started on Facebook. So Facebook, Dragon Tamer Reptiles with Facebook is probably number 1. Instagram, it's Dragon Tamer Reptiles, and then MORPHMARKET. Probably those 3 would be the top. So, yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Very nice. Coming over. I appreciate it, man. Thanks, sir.